Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel and welcome to another yearly Tiny Dreamer review. This one is 2021. I'm going to be sharing with you all the things that happened this year. This is a packed video. Okay, we are going to start with January 2021. I had just moved from Illinois from the campground and I moved to an Airbnb, a homestead and stay in Georgia. One of the reasons why I decided to move to this homestead and stay was because I wanted to get a little bit of experience as far as the Airbnb aspect. I'm looking for land, so when I get my land, I want to do an Airbnb setup as well as renting out spots to other tiny houses. Not necessarily hands-on, this was just visual. I kind of just watched from afar how they treated the guests, what they did, little events they put on for them, perks. I did get some experience, I was able to observe from afar, and I've heard stories and stuff about tiny house guests and cleaning that they had to do. I got a little bit of knowledge on that for when I get my homestead. And now February rolls around and I'm still living at this homestead and stay, basically working. I also started to get adjusted to my new spot. I had only been there a month at this point. So March rolls around and I'm still in Georgia, and I was invited to be a speaker at the Tiny House Festival in Georgia. I was nervous about this because it was my first time speaking, but I decided, because I'm in this tiny house community now, I do these videos on this channel, but I threw myself out of my comfort zone. My speech was on how to run a business in a tiny house. I practiced. My sister and I practiced for the longest time, and I think I did all right. I did get some experience, and if I'm asked to speak at another festival, then that would be great. I also applied to be a craft show vendor at the Georgia Tiny House Festival, so I had a booth there, and this also gave me the opportunity to get my products out. As you guys know, I have a business, Goddess of Herbs. You guys can check out that link right there, and I'll put it in the description below, where I make and sell herbal remedies and natural products. And this was a new state, new people, and I was glad to introduce my product. I was able to also talk tiny houses with them because a lot of these people were there for the tiny houses, so they would ask me about my experiences, and I was able to share my knowledge on my experiences so far. Now, April rolls around and I want to start opening my windows, because when I lived in Illinois, I hadn't opened them for 4 to 6 months because it was cold. I just left them shut. In Georgia, it's a little warmer, so in March, April, I start opening the windows, and that's when I discovered mold in 3 of the vertical hopper windows. Now, I posted this online and a bunch of suggestions started coming in. I had 2 distilled water bottles in my pantry, and that also leaked in my pantry and formed mold rings on the bottom of the pantry floor. I started taking all of these suggestions. I actually even got a mold kit test and did 2 of those. Tested about 17 different areas in my tiny house and tested all areas for mold. I got damp rid, which are these things you can set around your house and absorb humidity. I got rechargeable dehumidifiers, which are called EvaDry, and you just plug those in to recharge those. I even found mold in my mini split. I found mold in my Primo water cooler. That's why I switched to the Berkey, is because I tried to clean this Primo water cooler and I don't know if there's still mold in it or not. And in April, I also start looking for land while I'm in Georgia. Hey, guess where I am headed? I am actually on my way to Tennessee to look at my first 2 properties of land. I'm going to meet up with a couple friends that used to live in the campground, and they're going to help me look at the land, and there's a camper on the land, so they camp, so they're gonna check out the RV for me, and there's also a cabin on the land and a shed on the land. There's a creek in the back, so we're gonna check out the property. I found a plot of land in Tennessee, and I asked my friends to meet me there because they live in Tennessee. That's where I'm staying right now. I was grateful for their expertise because I ended up not buying that land, but that was the first plot of land I looked at. Ended up following them back to their place, and it was great to see their land because it was the first time that I was able to see their land. They had pigs at the time, they had a bunch of chickens. They showed me the shooting area, and I was able to shoot a gun. Ready?
Yeah.
Look at all those things! All in all, I had a really great time in Tennessee, and it was great to get away from Georgia, and it was great to be in the state that I wanted to be in when I get my land. I don't know, everything happens for a reason. Now, after April comes May, and again, because all my windows are open, this is one way that I introduce bugs into my house. In May, I had a ton of bug problems. There were spiders getting into my house, lots of little things on my windows, all these giant looking weird creatures. I mean, there were hundreds of bugs in my house and around my house. At one point, I had a bunch of the ladybugs all over my house. I had moths all over my house. I even kept spiders in my house as pets because I was finding them in the corners of my house, and everyone was telling me to just leave them alone so that they could eat the bugs. So I would leave 4 spiders in the corner. I'd name them all. So because I was living in the woods, I believe that's why a lot of these bugs were able to enter my house. I was parked on rock. Underneath my house, there were plants growing up, and I'm sure that they were getting into my house that way. Because I was in the woods, all the trees were connected to the house, so there were spiders getting in the house that way. And it was just, I was dealing with bugs so much. Even had a problem with carpenter bees. I did not know that this was happening until the bee had already bored itself into my tiny house. And I planned to, at some point, reseal my house in order for me to try to deter those carpenter bees that way. Now, June is here, and there was something going on with my cat Whisper. She was scratching a lot, and I didn't understand why, biting the back of her tail, and I had done a lot of research that said that was feline hyperasthenia. I don't know how to say it, but I can put it right there on the screen for you. I thought that she had that. I took her to the vet. She had a very stressful visit at the vet. Gave her antibiotics, put a cone around her head because she had started scratching all these pustules on her head. So that took some time to heal. Kept the cone on for a while. This did not make nice for the cats. Got her CBD oil, thinking that that would calm her down, that she wouldn't be itching so much. We gave her flea medicine, thinking that it could have been fleas. I changed her food several times, and she still kept the itching. Don't really know what it was still. Something worked because I'm not doing anything right now, and she doesn't do it anymore. Now July is here, and it's getting really humid outside. I decide to kind of ramp it up a little bit and start to do different things and better things for trying to prevent the mold and the bugs. So I ended up getting a dehumidifier to try to suck in some of that humidity. When I had gotten those meters, they were reading 70 and 80, and then when I got the dehumidifier, it went down to 40 and 50. So I ended up getting an air purifier to hopefully kill any of the mold that was in the air. Then I was going to clean, which I did. I ended up cleaning the walls several times with vinegar and clove oil. Ended up cleaning the windows every week as opposed to every 4 or 5 months. To combat the molds in the mini split, I also got a Pure AC. That is a disinfectant unit thing that it's like a bag, and you put it over your mini split. I can put the link to those in the description below because it actually works well. You're supposed to do it every month. Now August rolls around, and I decide to start packing for my move. Yes, back in June, I was asked to leave the homestead and stay, so I had to find a new new place to stay. And while I was packing, I did a lot of work, set up a lot of samples in order to be prepared for the move instead of putting the business on the back burner. I did make products, I made samples, I pre-stuffed a bunch of envelopes so that all of that stuff could be sitting there and waiting for orders, because at the time I was going to move, it was going to be around the holidays, and I didn't want to have all of this come crashing on me at the same time. And in September, I am still packing for my move. I had 6 months to leave, so I took all of this time. Happy October! And now I am in Tennessee. I decided to move on October 1st to my friend's homestead. I was invited to stay here, and I graciously took up that offer. I have been adjusting to the spot ever since, and one of the first things I wanted to do was get on fixing my tiny house. In the homestead and stay, I wasn't really allowed to use power tools, so when guests were there, and guests were there almost every day, so I kind of felt like I couldn't work on my house or do anything. It was always on their schedule. I said when I moved to Tennessee, I'm going to start doing all that stuff that I want to do. So first things first, I painted the trim on my house, and then I resealed my entire tiny house, and these were in preparation to prevent water, weather, and bugs. And finally, my house is protected from the weather because I did do the Thompson's water seal, and it does protect the house from the rain. November's here, and it is almost winter, and my friends dragged over a chicken coop. This is me now starting to get experience learning how to care for chickens, because I do want them on my homestead, and I ended up investing in chicken stuff. So I ended up buying scratch. I got chicken food. I got tarps to cover it for the winter. I got fly grubs. I got boots to walk around. I also invested in rakes. I invested in a waterer. So all of these things came with now owning chicken. I have Gloria, Hennifer, Shelby, Dixie, and Hazel. And then I'll be getting a sixth one before I leave. Her name is Darcy. Look at Darcy. Hello, sweet girl. These chickens are getting used to me by being in this coop, me taking care of them every day. I get to keep their eggs, but I also clean out the poop in the chicken coop. I care for them every day. I water them every day. Basically, they are my responsibility. This is all new to me, and I'm absolutely loving it because I eventually wanted chickens. I had no idea I was going to get the experience this soon, but it is a brilliant idea because having this little coop and having this designated area to take care of these chickens is actually a big plus, because that's all I need. I don't need to bring them in the house. I don't need to create a yard for them. Right now they are just inside the coop, and I am enjoying taking care of them. You guys can follow their page, Tiny Dreamer Chickens, on Instagram right there, and I'll put it in the description below. Yeah, so you could follow everything that I'm doing with them too. Also in November, I decided to continue to fix more things, and because I didn't have the knowledge or the experience to do these things, I hired a handyman. One of the first things he did was change 2 of the outlets that had mold in it, so I wanted to replace those. We put a 6-inch platform underneath my bed so that could breathe and get ventilation, which was also on my list to do from all the mold problems. When I had my water reclamation system, Incredible Tiny Homes put a box of filters underneath my water heater in the back storage. And when one of the team members were over to fix the last of the problems and the mistakes that they made on my house, they put a board over that filter box. And at the time I had asked him, don't we want to take that out? And he said, no, it'll be fine in there. 2 years later, now after the mold problems, I wanted to see what was under there. So I had the handyman take all that apart, and it was so gross. There was moldy water. It was so bad. It stunk so bad. I am so glad that all of that is out of there now. I don't know if it combated any of the mold problems, but that's one of the things the handyman did. Now, one of of the things I wanted to do was reseal my counters, so he said, I will make you the trim piece and you can seal the counters and I can just teach you how to do it. So he ended up doing that, and I ended up actually sealing the counters, and that was really cool because I got the experience to do it. Hopefully this is going to prevent any of the mold that I tested from the mold test kit on my counters. All of these things I have been working on fixing, and it's actually really great. And coming to the end of the year, December is here, and even though I'm living in Tennessee, I decided to heat tape my pipes. I'm actually bought a already heated hose. I think it was 50 foot and a 25 foot, and I put them together. Hopefully that won't freeze, but if it does, again, living in Tennessee, it's like 60 today and it's in December. I also winterized the chicken coop. That's when I bought those tarps. I ended up putting two, I think 8x10 tarps on both sides of the chicken coop to hopefully block out any weather or rain or wind that could make them colder. I also decorated my tiny house. Last year I did decorate my tiny house, but I don't think I put up lights on the catwalk, but this year I did. I actually really love it because it goes really well with the fairy lights that are up on the ceiling. 2021 was kind of a messed up year in terms of what went down, the mold problems, humidity problems, bug problems. But in the end, now that I'm in a better spot in Tennessee and really heading towards my homestead dream, I'm a lot happier. I could feel negative energy lift as I left from Georgia to Tennessee. I only can see good things from here on out, and I hope you guys enjoy the journey and stay with me. If you guys like this video, please give it a big thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button below and click the notifications bell so you can receive a notification each time I post a new video, which is every Sunday. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Me to just leave them, don't put that. But it was, don't put that. And underneath the rocks was leaves and not leaves and trees. There were like green stuff. Don't put any of that. Hold on. I even have it, that later. Don't put any of that. The cat looked foreign. Whisper looked foreign. I'm going to be sharing with you everything that has happened from January. I have noticed that the rain is now, I don't even know how to say it. So this, don't put that, to hopefully prevent the mold hold on. And I do not clean up the poop in the coop. I'm going to make a rhyme about that. Don't put that.